Welcome to the Queens on Decks, where I interview female DJs from around the world. I am Michelle Miller, your host of the Royal Queens Rising podcast. We share our inspiring stories and secrets to our success. Hi, I'm DJ RunDat, and today we have DJ Dayna. We're going to talk about how she started her own DJ business.
Hi, how are you doing, everybody? And thank you, Michelle, DJ RunDat, for having me. So I am DJ Dayna. I am based here in Columbus, Ohio. I do a lot of special events, including weddings and corporate social events, fashion, and I also travel a few months out of the year DJing on cruise ships. And I also am an event host, so I'm hired to also MC certain events as well. And I do also do some freelance writing for Mobile Beat magazine, which some of you may know of or have heard of and have read, hopefully. So that's what I do. And I am a solo op, female-owned, DJ business full time. So let me take you back then how I got started. I was in college. I was hanging out with a group of DJs. One of my friends was dating a DJ, so we kind of naturally just hung out with the group of DJs that were on campus. And, I've always loved music, first of all, and I've always been like the first to hit the dance floor. So for me, I think, being able to hang out with DJs was like a super cool thing in college, but also I started talking with them more, obviously, about DJing. And then one of the DJs that was basically in charge of booking all of the DJs for like all of the campus bars and nightclubs and events. And this was in Miami, University of Ohio, which is down outside of Cincinnati. So just to give you, that's where I went to college. So so it was just kind of, he started talking to me one night and I showed a lot of interest, and he was like, you know what, do you want to give this a shot? And I said, sure, this would be fantastic. I didn't even think about, DJing. So he basically took me under his wings and he taught me. We were using CDJs at the time. Pioneer CDJs is what I started off on. He kind of showed me a few things. He had the training technique of throwing me onto the decks. I mean, literally, like, it was, here, let me show you how a few of these things work, and then go, So between that, throwing me in, and then also we would get together on the side. He started training me, about beat matching and about the technology, about reading your crowd and all of that good stuff. So I started working with him, and so that became my college cash fund, I'd like to say, my part-time job. For the rest of college. And then I continued DJing really post-college while I worked in a 9-to-5 job, Monday through Friday. And I worked for other companies as a subcontract DJ for many years. And I actually ended up moving to LA for 5 years to pursue, at the time, my dream was to work as a journalist in entertainment. So I went out there to pursue that, but to help pay the bills, how LA can be super expensive. So I DJ'd for a lot of companies, doing weddings, corporate events, some nightclubs, and variety of things. So then now fast forward to, I was out there for 5 years, and then came back to Ohio in 2011. It was sort of a transitional moment of my life, kind of trying to figure out what's the next step for me. I mean, things didn't work out the way I wanted them to in LA. And so I kind of just came at a crossroads, and then I decided, you know what, I'm just going to get back into DJing, and you know what, maybe I'll try this on my own on the side and start like a part-time side DJ business while I pursue another job, career field. So it was a while before, the business started picking up. So that's how it became like clear to me, like, okay, if I can do this, full time, then maybe I should go for this 100% and see what happens. So here I am. I do roughly average about 100 events a year. And then I travel, like I said, usually 2-3 months on cruise ships throughout the year.
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot of DJing.
Yes, it is. It's a lot.
Really awesome. What have you had any challenges as being like a female DJ in a male dominated industry?
Yeah, that question gets asked a lot. I personally, my experience has always been really positive, to be honest. I don't feel like I've ever been in a situation where, um, I feel like it's posed a problem. I think it definitely, I can say it has been an advantage. Personally, I think there's especially female owned businesses or female, focused groups and organizations. And I think some people just have a preference of a female DJ, but then on the other end of the spectrum, I think people also have a preference of a male DJ. So I think it really depends, on what your appeal is to the client. But yeah, like I said, I've been asked this before, but really there's no, I feel like, situation or pinpoint where I feel like, oh, I didn't get, maybe I didn't get certain jobs because of being female, but I also feel like that goes both ways. I feel like as a male, maybe they don't get a gig because of, maybe not because they're male specifically, but they weren't the right fit for the job. So yeah, so I feel, and if anything, I feel like in certain circumstances, it's definitely been an advantage.
I agree with you. I absolutely agree with
Yeah.
you. Yeah. Is there any particular type of event that you love to play that you prefer to play?
I think my personality, I love variety. So I think having that, if you look at a pie chart and having that section of weddings and corporate events and some retail and fashion, nonprofit, and some social variety of, social events, I think that fits me the most. Because I feel every event or offers something different. I think I get, like a different high, I should so to speak, a DJ high from, various events. And some events too, I don't particularly want to do because I find them boring, but, I do enjoy, I think, each type of event for different reasons. So I think it's hard for me to say I prefer one type of event over another.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. I love the variety of
Yeah.
I'm really open to playing anything,
Yes.
almost any genre too. I've done a lot of the genres. My music collection has a lot of the genres. It doesn't have. I'm lacking in jazz, but or like heavy metal. But I
Oh,
have.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, heavy metal. I haven't had to play too much of that. But yeah, I agree. I love the variety of music because I think with the variety of events, that's exactly what it does. It gives you the opportunity to play a variety of music. So, and I like that, a lot. I like learning about new music too, especially too when I go on the cruise ships. That's just totally different. I mean, it's definitely open format, but I have learned a lot about other types of music from different countries because it can be an international crowd. So
That's so fun. How did
yeah.
you get linked up with the cruise ships?
So the cruise ship started, got connected with a company called Scratch Events, and they're based in New York City. And they actually have a nationwide team of DJs that represent them in different states. So originally they had reached out to me because they had a event here in Ohio that specifically was looking for a female DJ. So they reached out, found me online. And so I started working a lot of retail events for them. And they would also book me here and there on some certain corporate events. And then I said, hey, this was at the time I was just getting started, like with my own business. So of course I'm looking for more work. So I asked them if there's any other opportunities that I could do with them being based here in Ohio. And they said, well, actually we have a cruise ship division. So I was like, what? That got my attention. Cause I've been on cruises before. I loved it. I was like, wow. I was like, really? And I said, they're only 2-week to 1 month contracts. And that was another, wow, really? Only 2 weeks or 1 month? Like I could do that. Because I know before I looked into cruise ship DJing, and a lot of times it's, if you're go on as a full-time crew DJ, it's, 6 months. We're looking at 6 months, minimum. And at that point in my life, I just knew I didn't want that, maybe if it was like right out of college or something like that, been fun. So that's how I got connected. So I actually, I booked my first cruise gig with Disney Cruise Lines. And that was actually the point too, where it coincided with my decision to go ahead and become full-time DJ, because I knew if I were to still continue looking for that 9 to 5 Monday through Friday job, I wouldn't be able to do these cruise ship opportunities. And that was really important to me at the time. So that's how I got into the cruising, was through them. And then now I've been able to, since I've been in it for 5 years, I've been able to get connected through other, networking through and connections through other DJs with some other cruise lines. So I've now kind of branched out and have tried some other cruise lines directly through the cruise. Yeah.
It's really sweet.
Yeah.
So you say you host events. Did that just come along with DJing, where you're getting on the mic and you start being the host of the wedding, and how did that expand into like hosting full-on events?
Yeah, exactly. And it's definitely something, an area, I'm still working on trying to get more of, but I started, basically I kind of just like, I really like doing this. And I think it comes from my background too, with majoring, in college in mass communications, I did focus in TV broadcasting, and I really enjoy, I don't know, I just really enjoyed that aspect, but I had enjoyed kind of, and also being, when I started doing weddings and other types of events, like, wow, I really enjoy just kind of like being the host. And I also got into theater and improv and things of that sort. And I'm like, this seems like it would be, a complementary fit to DJing, because like I'm already kind of, I'm emceeing, but then what if I turn this into, and then just getting booked as a event host? And I like to use the term event host. I think MC, event host, is an interchangeable word. I mean, they basically mean the same thing. I just prefer to use the term, event host. But so I just kind of started then using that as another title, and kind of start telling people about it. And so it's still, like I said, something that's forming, but I have had some opportunities to host like at some corporate conferences. So I've been booked as a DJ and, a host. So I will do some of the, just some of the opening remarks and welcome and announcements, things like that. So some things have been really easy, but then I also actually got to host, if you're familiar with the TEDx talks. Yeah. So I got to actually MC one of the local TEDx talks in Cincinnati a couple years ago, which was a really cool experience. So I'm just always trying to find and look for those opportunities, to build that resume. But I definitely would love to pursue that journey a little bit more.
That's so awesome. Yeah. I was an MC at one of our local big festivals 2 years ago, Reggae on the River. And such a fun experience. I got to introduce the acts in the morning, and so it was
oh my gosh.
it wasn't the headlining acts, but it still just was such a great experience. And I really love pushing myself out of my comfort zone, and that's how I think we really grow.
Yes, definitely. Oh, I would love that. I love reggae.
We're a perfect match.
I have reggae Sundays where I listen to reggae music on Sundays.
Yes. So have you ever hosted a fashion show before?
I've DJ'd a lot of fashion shows. I'm trying to think if I've really hosted. And I'm trying to think.
I have one coming up, but I've never done it. So I'm DJing and hosting. It's like an art festival with a fashion show. And
fun.
Yeah, so I was looking for some tips from you.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to tell me, like, are you gonna be yeah, because I could definitely like help you out, because I've done like stuff like hosted where, saying like a welcome, and then I've actually had to like talk about the looks. Is that what you have to do for this one?
I have not gotten the details yet, but
okay.
I'm thinking I might have to. I at least will have to announce who the designer is. I don't know how much detail I'll need to get into. I definitely need to follow up with them.
Yeah. Well, definitely with fashion shows, yes. Like the more detail, and I found with fashion shows, depending on how, well, if this one sounds like it's, it's probably going to be a pretty big production, bigger than just, because I've done like small in-store fashion events, and then I've done like larger scale fashion events, where they've actually, bring in the designer and it, for like a charity or something, and done that way. But definitely would help to probably have like an idea, like a timeline and script some things out and rehearse a little bit for sure for something like that. I would recommend.
I was like, I got some homework ahead of me.
Yeah. I'm happy to help for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, this will be my first time being like the full DJ and host of a whole event by myself. So,
Oh yeah, that's a lot.
so yeah, and recently I did my first resident DJ of a whole festival. It was a 3-day like biker rally.
Oh.
That went really well, and you know, this was like my first time, and I'm like, hey, I can do that too. I can do 3 days, 10 hours DJing rock and roll, and it's a lot of fun.
That would be fun. That would be again a different variety of music to play, right? Rock and roll.
Yeah, a lot of rock and roll.
Yeah.
So do you have any advice for somebody that wants to start DJing or to start their own DJ business?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say so. I actually kind of like wrote a couple things down, to refresh my memory. So I wanted to make sure I said. I think when I thought about that question, I say, well, number one, I think it's important to surround yourself with a strong support system. The reason being is, for me, when I started, I think if I didn't have that, it would have been really difficult to progress, and move forward any further between having whether, a strong family support system and friends, find a mentor. Even, I know some people have really found a lot of luck with business coaches or life coaches. And obviously surround yourself with people in the DJ community, your fellow colleagues and stuff to reach out. So I think that's really important to have that, because they can help, just help you out along the way, through like your ups and downs, so I think that's important. And then I think about, just not letting fear take over. I know it's really hard to say, but it's okay. I think, and I'm definitely guilty of this, of being afraid to fail. But the message that I know I kept getting was, it's okay if you fail, because you only, grow stronger and you learn, from those failures. So I think, don't be afraid to dive into that deep water. And what was the other thing? Oh yeah. And then also, never stop learning and growing. I think it's really important to always keep working on your craft, and skills as a DJ. And, if you want to, get into more emceeing or event hosting. So I think that's important to do things like, reading, educational content. Obviously, if you want to go into this full time, you need to learn business skills and entrepreneurship, which I knew nothing about going into it. So I've had to do a lot of reading. So I think that's important. So always be educating, always be working on your craft, always, just never stop learning as a DJ, I think. So make sure you're always like evolving. I think it was Will Farrell said this once. Actually, a friend of mine, really good friend of mine, said this to me, that Will Farrell said the statement of always reevaluate yourself at 6 months. And if you look back on the last 6 months and if you feel like there was no growth or improvement and nothing had changed in your career, then that's time to reevaluate and maybe make some changes. So I thought that was a really good, lesson. So I've kind of tried to always keep that with me. And then also another thing too is just, I love this phrase and saying, is dancing through the storm. So you're going to hit some hard times. So just try to, be happy and positive, even though I know it's very difficult, but I always try to think, okay, just dance through the storm, since we're all DJs, right? We love music. So I think it works perfect for us to like remember to dance through those storms, while you're trying to start your business and go full time.
Yeah, that's great advice. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So how can our audience connect with you?
So you can find me on my website is djdayna.com, and that's DAYNA.com. And then I'm on Instagram, and it's _DJ Dayna. And then Facebook, DJ Dayna. I mean, pretty much you just type in DJ Dayna. You could probably find all my handles, but I'm most active on Instagram and Facebook. I'll post highlights. but I really am getting into the Instagram stories, and I love all of the, I actually use Tuesdays. I'll do like travel Tuesday, since I do, a lot of traveling with the cruise ship. So, so you can see all my cruise adventures when I go on a cruise if you follow me on Instagram. So, and then on Mixcloud, if you want to check out some of my mixes that I make, it's mixcloud.com/DJ Dayna as well. I think those are all the important handles, right? Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And thank you
You're
for
welcome.
being here today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Bye for now.
Go to my website to claim your free gift, a digital copy of my best-selling book, How to Start a DJ Business. www.djrundat.com. Follow me on all social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch at DJ RunDat. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. To learn how you can book me or work with me, go to my website or email me at michelle@djrundat.com.